part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
What's up, Breakers? That sound means it's time for Cavs in the Break NBA podcast. We're recording live right here in the basement of John Sabol's house. That means all four of us are in the same building at the same time. We are not over Zoom. We have the owner, editor, writer of hoopswire.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the birthday boy right now, Sam Amico. Sam, what is up, Sam?
Not much, man. It's just this has been a wild experience at John Sable's house.
It has
been
a great experience.
I drank my first Coca-Cola, like non-diet pop, in probably 3 or 4 years.
And Sam, you also had a little birthday cake.
He did.
Yeah, I had a little birthday cake. It was very little, but very, very appreciative. Yeah, it's been an amazing experience so far.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we love you and happy birthday,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Also with us here, he is over sports at Fox 8. He hosts Sabol Brothers on the Baseline with his brother Scott Sabol, right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. John Sabol, the wonderful host tonight. John, what's up, man? Thank you for hosting us all here on Cavs on the Break.
Absolutely. This is a long time coming to get all you guys here on board, and it's fun to kind of hang out and watch the game and talk Cavs hoops, and that's what we, all four of us, do best.
You know, I'm just a little green with envy because we're here in your basement in your house, and I must say this is a museum of Cleveland artifacts and just incredible memorabilia. You said, I'm not one of the memorabilia, but as you look around, you have not only a full basement worth of jerseys and pennants and signs and seats from every professional arena, but you also, under your stairs, in the storage, in your crawl space, even more memorabilia. So, Sabol, I have to say, a wet bar with a live keg, it is the best. And so you just...
So the pennant thing that you referred to,
yes.
My dad, when I was younger in the 90s, would travel a lot for work. Every city he would go to, he would get me a pennant of every city he would go to of an NBA team. So from like 93 to 96, 97 or so, he would get me a pennant of every single team.
Yeah.
And I forgot about them. They were like in my parents' house under my bed that I had in my room. And when I moved back to Cleveland, he's like, "Here you go," and he gave me in a bag. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have not seen these in forever." So there's like a Vancouver Grizzlies pennant in there,
dude,
which was in that pile,
country,
which is
baby.
not up, big country, Brian Reeves. And then there's like an old
Mike Bibby,
Seattle Supersonics one that we uncovered.
Sharif Abdul-Rahim. I can keep going.
Yeah, you're keep going. Yeah. So there's a lot of them in there, but like it was kind of a cool thing that kind of was a cool nostalgic moment for my dad and I as we grew up and we still have. So a lot of those non-Cleveland stuff is not in my basement or anything. It's just kind of in a pile that you saw. You
and Sam are sitting in original gunned arena seats right now. You're very close to each other. You're very close to each other.
This is the way we like it.
Sam took my cup holder.
He did.
Just kidding.
And so it is just incredible job. Shouts to Alyssa, because I'm sure, we're here and we're hanging out with you, but she's probably done a lot of work into this. So
she's sick of the sports stuff, I guess you could say. No, she's been a good sport about it. But I think there's history in a lot of things, and my brother and I have really embraced Cleveland sports growing up here in the area, and just like you guys have for the most part. And the seats kind of were fun. It was, he garbage picked the Cleveland Municipal Stadium seat back in the mid '90s, and I had that, and then these Gund Arena seats.
I sat
were here too.
in a Cleveland Arena.
Yeah.
A Cleveland Arena
Arena seat.
Mm-hmm.
From like the early days of Austin Carr, and
that was the first iteration of Cavs basketball back in the day.
Yes. Yeah.
It is so wild.
remarkable.
Usually when we record these episodes, we're all on Zoom in our own ways, and Sam is like awkwardly sitting in front of his computer closely, so we always see is his forehead. And now I'm looking ahead, and I see It is. I see John and Sam, and to my right, ladies and gentlemen, someone that I'm always grateful to be in his presence, someone that without him, I don't know if Press Play would be what we are today. Jeremy and Akron, Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, dude, I love you, brother, and it's an honor to be beside you and record this podcast. Jeremy and Akron, Cavs on the break right here in our presence. Guys, it is our honor to be in his presence. I just have to say.
No, thank you guys for letting me be
This
here.
guy.
Thank John with his palatial estate here.
Oh, my goodness.
Cool, one of the cooler basements I've ever been in. Just awesome.
Facts.
Thanks for the hospitality. It's been a blast tonight watching the game with you guys. Seeing Chase pound 8 or 9 beers and then do a show has been absolutely
Not
phenomenal.
true. That is not true.
just kidding.
You didn't see any.
I
You saw maybe
actually
the
had
last half of
almost
one.
18 ounces of Coca-Cola, so I'm ready to roll.
Yeah.
Caffeine is rolling strong with JIA right now.
I will say, John and I hang out around 12:30. We went to a couple of different establishments. We played 18 holes of virtual golf. That is right here in, what's this place called? Tumbleweed?
Twinsburg.
Twinsburg. It's close. It
Tumbleweed.
was close.
Chase is West Virginian.
Shouts to NX Bar and Grill. That place, the best food in Twinsburg. Oh my goodness.
It was good, yeah. Great wings, great burgers. Sam and Jeremy missed out on the golf simulator.
They did. They missed out on a lot of pregame of pregame. Hey, the couple things I want to talk about tonight with you all in person. One, the last time we recorded, I think John and I recorded post deadline where we stayed pat. We held. But since then, kind of a big move from the Cavs. We bought out Kevin Love. I want to talk about that. We just lost to the Nuggets tonight, 115 to 109. But then I want to talk about maybe the Cavs' chance moving forward. How can we secure the 4 seed? But before we do that, the Cavs buying out Kevin Love, Sam, some people nationally are saying that could be a bad move for us because he might come back and bite us if the Heat are the 5 seed. Sam, are you worried that in the playoffs the Cavs are going to hear from Kevin Love on the Heat? Are you worried about that? Is that something that keeps you up at night?
No, I that's not a concern. I don't think. I think look, there was a point where the Cavs could have used him when he came back from his thumb injury, and for whatever reason he wasn't able to deliver. I mean, he can still rebound. I'm still amazed. I've watched him a few times this year with his ability to just go get the basketball off the glass, but his shot was gone. He didn't play well. I mean, he's averaging 8.6 points or 8.5 points, 6.8 rebounds, career lows, not shooting the basketball very well. I don't think that, there's a lot of narrative there in terms of, Kevin Love's going to the Heat. He might start at power forward. I don't look, and he's been great in Cleveland. This isn't intended to trash the guy, but I just don't think he has much left. And I think the Cavs have a better chance of hurting the 76ers with Danny Green than the Heat have of hurting the Cavs because of Kevin Love. I just don't think he's the player he was anymore. And his body's been through a lot through the years. So,
well, his thumb was bothering him earlier in the year.
Yeah, and he had a back thing.
True or false? Jared Allen jumping from the court to Kevin Love in the hallway of the thing. Was that when he severely injured his thumb more, or are they just hiding the fact that it wasn't a self-harm?
I just think that he hurt it playing in a game, but
sure.
I just don't think he. Yeah, I think it was okay, and he still wasn't making shots, and that's, for him it was okay, you brought in 35-year-old Danny Green, who's a year older than me, coming off an ACL injury. And he plays the first game after being here for 10 minutes, and I'm still on the bench. Yeah. That's what put him over the edge, and understandably so. I mean, he wants to play, and was clearly not going to get an opportunity in Cleveland. He'll get an opportunity in Miami probably right away.
Sure, a player whose number is going to be retired in Cleveland. Yeah. John, are you concerned about Kevin Love on the Heat? We very well might see them in the playoffs. Are you worried if he checks into the game or Kevin Love's checking in?
I'm not really concerned about it. I think the issue that you're going to be concerned is if it actually happens where he's knocking down some threes in clutch situations, then that's going to be a bad look. But what are the chances of that happening? Is it good? No one's going to be able to tell you that now here in February versus what's going to happen in middle to end of April or in May if they, go in the second round and play Miami. I think the timing of this whole situation was very odd, mainly just because, and Sam could echo this too, you don't see very many teams that are in the playoffs that are kind of locked into almost a seed here, where you're kind of locked into going to the playoffs and not playing, buy out certain players in the contract and are locked into a situation like that. So you don't get bought out when that happens. Yeah. So actually, Sam and guys, I don't know the last time a team that was in maybe let's say a top 4 or 5 seed took a player that used to be an impactful player, and then they eventually bought him out maybe a year or two later. This is
generally playoff teams or good teams don't buy out guys. You know, I mean, that's usually the teams like the Hornets or teams whoever are headed for the lottery.
Right.
Teams that have a stake in the playoffs like the Cavs do generally don't buy out guys unless the guy just is a non-factor.
So this happening with the scenario that we're in here is very, very rare. So am I concerned? Not really. But if it happens and it is impactful, if they face each other, it's going to be a bad look. However, on the flip side, you got to look at, like, if they do face Kevin Love in the Heat, you got a defensive liability right there that the Cavs know how to defend.
Automatically.
So at the same time,
anyway,
I think the Cavs understood what they wanted, what he wanted, and I personally think at some point, if Kevin wasn't going to get any playing time, this situation could have got a whole lot worse, and I think the Cavs knew that, and that's why they acquiesced and went with his request.
I feel like it's a win-win-win for the Cavs. We free up a roster space. We don't have the guilt of not playing him. Jeremy, if you could give an obituary to Kevin Love's time in Cleveland, what are some of your the most important moments of his career for the Cavs?
Obviously, the one that stands out is him stopping Steph Curry in the championship, right? I mean, it's funny though, we do tend to forget a lot of the bad things, and I heard this brought up the other day. I mean, they were called. someone started a GoFundMe to buy out Kevin Love during the championship.
No.
Run. Yeah, true story. So
they
were.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Really?
Someone started a GoFundMe, and during their run of trips to the finals to buy him out. So it wasn't all roses, but obviously, when you haven't won a championship in that long, and he was a big part of winning that championship, he's going to be remembered positively. And I think what ultimately happened with Kevin Love, though, is his rebounding and three-point shooting no longer made up for his defensive deficiencies. There was a time where Kevin Love was a good enough rebounder and a good enough shooter that would make up for the fact that you could throw him in the blender in the pick and roll and just kill him.
Sure.
Right? You could, once that went away, there was no reason to have him in the rotation. And I think you're right when you say the Cavs headed this off. They saw maybe something brewing. They're like, you know what? We're going to take the high road. We're going to give him what he wants. We're not going to worry about where he goes. We're going to bring in Danny Green to do although Danny Green was a DNP coach's decision tonight, but to do what we wanted from Kevin Love. So I think you're right. I think it's a win-win-win. Everybody ended up winning the situation. I doubt very highly Kevin Love's going to hit a shot to knock the Cavs out of the playoffs for the Heat. All the way around, I think it was a win.
But I also think, real quick, Chase, to your point, Jeremy, I think there's something here we may not know that went into the whole thing, because Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, all the players pretty much have said they were surprised that this happened.
Did you hear Jared Allen had the best quote?
I did. He had the best
quote. Let's say it. You got to share it because you talked about this at lunch.
As we record this here on the night of the Cavs falling.
This is Thursday night, February 23rd.
The first game back from the All-Star break, losing to Denver. Jared Allen was asked in
did you know about Kevin Love?
Yeah, did you know about Kevin Love, is what he said. If he was aware of the buyout. And he said, I did not. I was told he was going for milk and cigarettes, and he just never came back.
So good.
It was great quote.
Jared Allen's fantastic.
He really is.
He is.
Yeah. So I don't think the Cavs are worried, though, about him coming back to bite the Cavs later in the playoffs. I think if they really were concerned about that, they wouldn't have let him go. I think him being bought out, I think that's an indictment more on where he's at now than anything else. It's not like the Cavs are like, oh, we're going to sacrifice our chances at succeeding just out of goodwill to give Kevin Love a good shot.
They wouldn't have done that.
I think they're like, we're not worried about Kevin Love hurting us, so we don't care where you go. So here you go. You think it's best for you, but actually it's best for us, because if you go in and near the Heat, that's good news for us. Like, we don't want you playing meaningful minutes for us. We see that more valuable for literally someone who just came off ACL surgery like a month ago than giving you meaningful minutes, which is sad because I really think at the beginning of the year, he would play 10, 15 minutes and almost get a triple-double. Like, you could look at his game logs from, like, November, December. He was being super efficient. It's that thumb injury that for some reason just changed. I don't know what it changed, but it changed his production. And at that point, the Cavs were like, look, man, like, this isn't going to work. Sam, your memory of Kevin Love's in the Cavs.
Well, I mean, the first memory is obviously the stop there that he got, which is so weird to remember Kevin Love for a defensive play. But that was a huge play.
Steph was injured. He wasn't 100%.
Yeah, I mean, but you needed a stop there.
Sure.
Those are the kind of shots Steph hits, and he threw him off.
Kevin did it.
Which was and all game, both he and Love and Tristan Thompson were doing a great job of defending those.
Tristan Thompson was the Warriors' Achilles heel.
Yeah,
like
he really
was the reason why I think we gave the Warriors trouble. I don't mean to go on a tangent there.
No, but that's true.
We talked
that's
about
part
that
of it.
3 years
but
ago.
I mean,
check it out. 3 years ago, Caps on the break. Sam and I were talking about Tristan Thompson
being the kind of the. But I would say for me. I guess my Kevin Love history would be there times he was really frustrating.
Yeah.
Where you never got the Kevin Love that you were hoping to get that came from Minnesota. He had moments. He had really nice moments.
But
he did some nice things.
The league changed. Like, all of a sudden, it wasn't the Andrew Bynum. It wasn't the big man type
I agree,
box
but,
up.
He I think his problem was he tried to change too much with it. And I mean, that's not to say the guy was bad. He had a great run, but a very good run. But I think, then all of a sudden he dropped weight. He went and he was already, I think he won the 3-point contest when he was with Minnesota, so he's already hitting shots outside.
Gosh.
But I think that he was, a very good third wheel on that championship team.
We couldn't have won it without him.
No, but he just wasn't the guy that I thought that they would get when they traded.
We all thought we were getting Larry Bird 2.0, right? That was what a lot
you
of people
kind of
thought.
did.
That's
Yeah,
what
you thought you were getting
you
right.
threw on the highlight reels when they traded for him, like, oh my gosh, and it never really materialized. But you got a quality player.
You got a quality player, but you got a guy who got an All-Star with the Cavs. His points per game dropped.
Was he an All-Star with the Cavs? I can't remember.
Yes, he was.
Once?
He had one All-Star appearance as a Cav, yeah.
His points per game dropped 10 points from his last year Minnesota's first
Because he's
year.
playing with the greatest player of all time.
You're playing with LeBron. You're playing with Kyrie. So
if he hadn't got injured,
his game had to change.
If
completely.
Kelly Olynyk had not been born, this narrative would be completely different. All of a sudden, we're already agreeing that his number is going to be retired in the rafters.
It's going to happen. The
at the
Cavs
Rock.
have said it, but he deserves it. And guess what? Kyrie Irving's number will be retired at some point.
1,000%.
It will. And it's going to happen after LeBron and after probably Love.
Yeah.
But if he hadn't have got injured in 2015,
by the way, Kevin Love was a 2-time All-Star with the Cavs, Sam.
Really?
Yeah.
then this is a whole different narrative. Kevin Love may be one of the best forwards for the Cavs in all time.
Well,
and that's not an exaggeration.
And this is actually bringing up a good conversation. I was talking with Ken Carman in the newsroom at Fox 8.
Name drop.
He was talking about this on his show, Kevin Love or Brad Daugherty. And we had discussed this. And, Sam, I would like your thought. I think when you look at the better basketball player, Kevin Love's a Hall of Famer. Brad Daugherty is not. Brad Daugherty would have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't have his injuries. And he was loaded with talent. But in terms of what that player meant for the Cavs, Brad Daugherty meant more to the Cavs than Kevin Love. But Kevin Love had a better career overall and will be a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. React to me, you three.
I don't think Kevin Love's a Hall of Famer. I just don't.
You don't think he is, or do you think he will be?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I don't think he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
I think he will.
2-time All-Star? I think you got it.
With the Cavs, he was a 2-time All-Star.
Okay, how many with the Timberwolves?
I think it's a
One.
combined 5.
Yeah, he's a 5-time combined All-Star. I saw that.
Boy, that's to me.
Yeah, I think
it's
a championship with the
long
Cavs
shot.
means more than one championship with the Heat.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
or whatever.
and I think Brad Daugherty's a better player. I think picking Brad Daugherty, Mark Price.
Brad Daugherty's definitely a better player.
That could have been the
But career-wise, the longevity,
Yeah.
I think Kevin.
Kevin had more longevity. Kevin had some. Yeah, I mean, he certainly did some things that were noteworthy. But
would you say Brad Daugherty, if he would have stayed healthy, was a top 5 all-time offensive center?
No.
top 5, no.
No, I don't think
10
so.
maybe?
Top 5.
Skill
He
wise,
is
though.
only overrated in the Cleveland
He's
area.
not. That's not true, though.
That
Skills
is
wise.
true.
Doherty-
Chase, go tell that to the people down in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Doherty
His
was
skill set
Okay,
was-
fantastic.
Anywhere he's
in
been,
his-
no one
I mean,
else
so-
aside from North Carolina and Cleveland is going to say Brad Daugherty
His
is the
skill
top.
set, yeah, because it didn't happen because of his injuries. But there, and I know there's
But
a
you
lot
can
of
make
guys
that,
like that.
you can make that case about so many guys. But I think Doherty played in a time in an era when centers were very important, and he played in an era with very good centers like Akeem. He was playing against Akeem. He's playing against David Robinson.
Now,
Robinson.
those are top 5 centers.
Akeem, yeah.
Well,
and
Well, I'm not
Patrick
saying
Ewing.
he was a top 5. I'm saying
Hakeem
the
Olajuwon
best.
is probably the greatest center of all
Great.
time.
And he played against Kareem when Kareem was still good.
Shaq,
Doherty-
early-
Kareem
Doherty-
was good in 96 and 97.
Doherty was
Kareem wasn't playing in 96, 97.
Did the Rockets win the year
No,
like
he's saying
95,
Keem.
96?
You're thinking of
Hakeem.
Keem.
I think
Hakeem
Kareem.
Oh.
Yeah.
You did say Kareem Hakeem.
Okay, I thought meant Hakeem. Sorry.
So basically,
Sorry.
I mean, where would I
Doherty
put
was-
Kevin Love?
Doherty was
in a-
20 and 10 4 years in a row.
yeah, I mean,
20 plus, 10
Doherty
plus.
was one of the first really good
57%
passers at center.
He was probably the best.
So maybe
passing
Doherty
center
was
of that
in
era.
like
Yeah.
the wrong era of
Listen,
basketball.
Brad
if
Doherty,
Doherty was in this,
57% field goal shooter. 57% field goal shooter for 2.5 years straight. At a half a
Yeah,
season.
in that era,
57%.
Doherty was. I mean, he was a number 1 overall pick. We traded Roy Hinson for him. So
Dealing a steal.
as far as Kevin Love, real fast forwards in Cavs history that I could think are better than him: Mike Mitchell, Larry Nance. Mike Mitchell is definitely better.
No. I forgot about Mike Mitchell, but you're right.
Larry
you're
Nance,
right. I would agree.
John Hot Rod Williams.
to be honest, I've never heard of Mike Mitchell. I'm sorry.
He only played a couple years in
I will
Cleveland.
admit that live on air. I don't know who that
Campy
is.
Russell. Campy Russell's was better, and I didn't see Campy play, but other than a couple games.
You're strictly saying these players in Cavaliers uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying in Cavs history.
Yep.
We're talking
Look.
about Cavs.
Yep.
I find it hard to believe when none of them have won a championship.
Kevin Love wouldn't have won a championship if he was the number 1, 2, or 3 option.
Yeah.
If Campy
It
Russell
doesn't.
would have won a
does,
championship
Look
if
how
he
mad
played with
Sam is.
LeBron. Well, what you're saying is, okay, so a
I
guy
think that
won
matters.
a championship. It doesn't matter. If Chase, if Mike Mitchell played on the Cavaliers in his prime, they would have won multiple championships.
Okay,
So my
but
point,
they didn't win.
because he didn't have LeBron James in his prime.
Okay, so if
So you're saying because a guy doesn't have LeBron James in his prime, he's not as good as Kevin Love?
I think a ring matters, yes, because a guy can't win by himself, and it takes
Okay.
other people around him.
And you know another thing.
But that doesn't make him a better individual player because he won a ring. Is Robert Horry the best forward of all time?
Nobody's in the conversation.
No, he's not. He's not in the he's not in
Another
the
thing you forgot about
conversation.
you
Chase.
cannot ignore Robert Horry.
Sam will back me up with this.
Chase, you're
Was
putting
Brad Daugherty
too
at the
much
time?
stock into rings.
Brad
I
Daugherty
love
at the
this
time.
conversation.
Sam,
But
I
you're putting
love
too
this.
much
was
stock
Brad
in the
Daugherty
rings.
not known as one of the best passing centers of all time?
Absolutely.
Of his era, he has averaged 4.5 assists.
And
a
He's
game.
one of the
is.
best passing centers of all time. and if he had had LeBron James on that team, he'd have way more rings than
He had-
Kevin
There's
Love.
an argument that if he had Ron,
been on Michael
there's
Jordan.
an argument that if he had Ron Harper on his team, he
Yeah,
would have had a
right,
championship.
right,
If they
yeah.
don't trade
Ron Harper in his
that
prime.
team wins a
Mark
championship.
Price, Craig Elo, and Sean Kemp both have told me that if the Cavs never traded Ron Harper, Cavs would have won
They would have won one
Look,
title.
I
at
wanna
least
give
one
it to you guys
title
straight.
against
Maybe.
Jordan's Bulls.
John, I love you. Sam, I love you. Jeremy, I love you. You guys lived in Cleveland, grew up in Cleveland. Cleveland was never winning a championship in the late 80s, early 90s. It was never going to happen.
They
I
wouldn't
don't
have
care
won it.
who was on their
They
team.
wouldn't have won it if Jordan played in 2016 either.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have won it that year either.
Our younger-
What you're saying
This is
is
amazing.
Our younger
wait,
listeners
this
don't
is so
realize, and
good.
Chase, you're part of that, don't realize the dominance Jordan had
Right.
on those teams.
aren't you Chase's age?
No, Chase is like 3 or 4 years younger.
Oh, okay.
Not that younger. I'm like 2 years younger than you.
Chase is like 12
Maybe.
years younger.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
kidding. No, but
This
the
is amazing.
Cavs in those late 80s, early 90s teams were on
They
the
were
cusp
great.
of winning a title. If it didn't happen, if it didn't, Michael Jordan didn't hit those shots in '89.
So
Kill
much
him in
of
the regular
winning a
season.
title is
the Cavs
circumstance.
trading Ron Harper. I mean, circumstance.
It's so much of it is circumstance. And I'm not saying all I'm saying is I will judge LeBron James by rings because LeBron James is the reason you get those rings. I'm not going to judge Iman Shumpert and say Iman Shumpert has a ring, so he's better than Charles Barkley. I'm just not. I can't go there.
That's fair. But when you look at Cavs history, and all of a sudden Kevin Love has so many points and so many threes and so many minutes and so many years,
He's got longevity.
and a ring,
yes.
I'm going to take him over Brad Daugherty.
I would take Kevin Love over Brad Daugherty in the sense of, yes, he's had a longer career and he does have a championship, so he deserves recognition from the Cavaliers.
Look, I'm not saying he deserves a jersey frame here in the Sabol basement.
But he's not a better player than Brad Daugherty.
I'm just saying
He's just not.
we need to recognize greatness for someone who...
Sable will have his jersey.
I would agree, though. I think Brad Daugherty, like I said before in this conversation, Brad Daugherty's a better Cavalier. I think longevity has made Kevin Love the better player overall because of longevity. And I disagree with Sam. I do think Kevin Love will get in the Hall of Fame because the NBA...
I wish everyone could see Sam's face right now.
The Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, they put a lot of players in there
that don't belong?
Sure.
Because he doesn't belong.
Touché, Sam.
The criteria to get in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame is different than other Hall of Fames. Baseball, football, even hockey. It's just a
Championships
little bit more broad.
matter.
I think Kevin Love gets in there just because his longevity in his career, the amount of points that he's racked up, his All-Star nods, his championship, not to mention his accolades on Team USA.
Sure.
Gives him enough, I think, that would put him over there.
So,
You may be
sorry
right.
for my ignorance. This is an honest question, and I'm not trying... Is Brad Daugherty in the Hall of Fame?
No, but if you look, too, his last 3 years before his back injury were his best. That's when he was shooting 57% from the field, averaging 22, 11, 4.5. If Brad Daugherty does not injure his lower back, getting in and out of a car, right, wasn't that part of it, he is a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
No doubt, not a doubt in my mind.
Another question is Jonas Saglauskas, is he in the Hall of Fame?
So these numbers aren't even close to Brad Daugherty's.
Not even close.
Brad Daugherty's 20.5, 9.5 for his career, 55% field goal shooter, 4 assists a game.
Okay, so we all agree, well, except for Kevin Love might be the very few forward for the Cavs that are in the Hall of Fame, maybe, Sam?
I see where you're going with this.
Would I?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, he would definitely be if he gets into the Hall of Fame, which to
He's
me
going
would
in
be
as a Cav.
crime.
Who would be in there? Nate Thurman's in the Hall? Is Nate Thurman in the Hall?
Nate Thurman's in the
World
Hall.
Be Free?
Not for
Is
his
World Be
Cavs.
Free in the Hall of
World
Fame?
Be Free's not in the Hall of Fame, nor does he deserve to go.
Nope.
No, he
I
doesn't.
think
I'm
he
trying
was
to think of
fantastic.
big-name Cavalier players back in the day.
That
There
are in the
haven't
Hall of
There
Fame?
have not been many.
You probably have to Google
Lenny
Cavs in the-
Wilkins, but he's a coach. And
Lenny Wilkins went as a player.
as a player,
Yeah.
but he didn't play for
And-
the Cavs. He played for Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, he played for the Cavs, but he went as a player,
right.
kind of like
Earlier
from
in
his
his
Lenny
years in
Wilkins,
Portland.
Bob Sura. We all-
Bob Sura.
Are you gonna throw some Ricky Davis, Darius Miles in there too?
Yeah. No, I'm saying, like, Kyrie's going to be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it.
And
Kyrie-
his number will be retired by the Cavs.
Is going to be in the Hall of Fame. Kevin Love, Sam, I'm really sorry. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think that's a guarantee. Just because John Sabol said it is. I don't think it's a guarantee. I think John.
This is a
makes
huge
valid
moment
point.
for the Cavaliers.
What
I
is?
think for the franchise, for the history of the Cavs, this marks the end of an era that, for some reason, he's been so divisive as a player for the Cavs. People have been hot and cold against Kevin Love, and I think
He's been
battled
hot
through.
and cold as a player.
He has battled through the
a good point,
adversity
though, yes.
that he has maybe brought on himself. Maybe he has played for the Cavs, and he has stuck it out. And he wasn't a cancer in the locker room. He wasn't.
I will say this about Kevin Love.
Don't give the handshake, Sable.
And then I'm going to let Jeremy talk because he's got something good to say. I can just
He
tell.
is stewing.
His face
JIA
is.
is stewing
But
over
listen,
here.
I will say this about Kevin Love. And this is a Cavs on the break exclusive.
Let's go right here. Let's go.
I had a team official tell me I could see it in the locker room. I'm not even going to with what the team official said, but I
cannot
can
wait
go
to
in the
hear this.
locker room and tell you, Kevin's a fun-loving, wonderful guy, but when it became, when
not his team.
When LeBron left,
Mhm.
they were looking at him and Tristan to be the leaders and be the leadership role and be tough, and Tristan was. And Kevin was just one of the guys, and the guy said to me, basically it was, as it was conveyed to me, was how disappointing that was, that he chose to be, as an older veteran who had won a championship, kind of a goofball and just one of the guys, didn't have that kind of leadership, mature, kind of like, we got to take this serious and we got to, where Tristan, you would hear him after every game, would just tell the media, we're not defending, we're not moving the ball, these guys don't want to win. I mean, he would just go off, and Kevin, he just doesn't have that personality. He's one of the, he is like me on the podcast. I should be showing leadership because I'm the old guy, but instead I'm probably the most immature of the bunch.
Get out of here.
Anyway, let Jeremy
This is
talk
an incredible stat I'm going to lay on you guys.
Let's hear it.
There are 5 players who played for the Cavs that are in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. Okay? Not a single one of them played for the Cavs in their prime. And combined, these 5 guys only played 10 seasons for the Cavs.
All right, so let's see if we can name this same.
Dwayne Wade. Not that. Sorry. Wrong era.
Did we already name one of them?
Nate Thurmond.
Thurmond was one of them. We named Nate Thurmond.
I'm going to be
Central
awful
High
this
School
game.
from Akron.
Central Howard, yeah.
Sean Kemp.
I'm stumped after that.
I know, right? So do you have the years with you, Jeremy?
So one of them was this one. I didn't even know he was Hall of Famer, and it plays to your point that some guys get in maybe that don't deserve it. But he just got in 2021, and
oh my gosh, how do we not know that?
he
class?
did. He was involved in a
played for
mega
the Cavs.
trade during the LeBron era, right? Actually, minutes before the trading deadline.
Oh,
Stumped.
I feel like this is
2021.
just a
Just got
trivia
in.
question with Sam.
2021.
Oh my god, who could
Um,
that be?
Okay, and another one is
Andre Miller.
the other one. One of them
No,
you're missing is a
Andre's-
very, very obvious one. I'll give you that. Shaquille O'Neal. 1 year with the Cavs. He's a Hall of Famer. That's one.
So that was close. I was close with the Dwayne
Okay,
Wade
that's
kind
not the
of.
2021 though.
were.
The other one is Ben Wallace. Is
Yeah.
a Hall of Pro
Man, you know
Basketball
what?
Hall
I
of
was
Famer.
just thinking
Okay.
that because you know what's funny about that?
If Ben Wallace is in, then Kevin Love might go.
That's what exactly what I was going to say.
This goes back to my point about the Hall of Fame having a little lesser
Dude,
quality or lesser.
I forgot Ben Wallace even
prereqs
played.
versus other Hall of Fames. Here's the thing about Ben
Ben
Wallace.
Wallace was the
Just a
best
few
defensive
weeks
player
ago,
for 3
Of
years.
his era, yeah.
Ben Wallace's number was just retired by Tri-C here in Cleveland.
Yep.
Because he played at
Saw that.
Tri-C.
He made
2
the
years.
Basketball Hall of Fame, so Tri-C said, well, we should probably retire his
Well,
number.
and he was on hand for it. We covered
Really?
we covered at
He
Fox.
was
They,
there?
they did it at the halftime of the men's
Wow.
game on a
He's
Saturday.
like in management for the Pistons right now, I
and
think.
his numbers there, he averaged 17 and a half rebounds a game.
Yeah.
And like some insane amount of blocks. I think it was like 7 or 8 or 9 blocks a game
Yeah.
in his
Wow.
in his 2 years there.
You want to hear something crazy?
So congratulations to him to
And
have
Ben
that done.
Wallace's 2 seasons with the Cavs. Care to guess his averages? This is some stat line for
It's
an
like,
NBA.
it's like
Hall of Fame.
3.1 points per
I was
game.
gonna say
3.3 points.
There we go. And I'm going to guess
4,
probably like
9, and 3.
4.2 rebounds a game.
6 is 3.1, 3 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks.
Blocks, yeah.
So Lenny
But he'll
Wilkins
always be
actually,
remembered for
so
the
Lenny
malice
Wilkins
in the
is another
palace.
one. You guys mentioned Lenny. Lenny Wilkins, when he played 2 seasons in Cleveland, now he actually did have some great seasons in Cleveland. He went 18-7-4 for his 2 years in
So
Cleveland.
there's
as a
just
player.
one guy left? Hold on.
There's-
Could we get this? Could Sam and I get this?
It's a big name.
All right, can
but
you
he
gi- can
did.
you
He
give
was
us
a
the
bigger
years he
star
played?
somewhere else. He was inducted in '87.
Oh,
In 87.
87. He
Big,
was a
Walt
big-
Frazier
Yes.
played
Walt
one
Frazier.
season with the
No,
Cavs.
he actually played 3 seasons in Cleveland.
Really?
Played 3 total. I think he has 2 separate. You know what though? He only played 66 games here over 3 different seasons.
he's probably hurt.
Yeah.
some of
so
those
yeah,
times,
14.6 points, 1.4
What
steals.
years were those?
It doesn't say the years.
It would have. He would have been like 77 to 80, right
Somewhere
around
in
that.
the
that
age.
was the early Coliseum days then.
Yes, very
So
early.
Nate
Coliseum.
Thurman's numbers again. People don't realize this. My dad told me this because my dad went to high school, the same high school as Nate Thurman.
Your dad went to Central
Yeah, I
Howard.
went to Central Howard. I was
Really?
with Jimmy Gooden.
Oh, wow.
that era. Yep.
Okay.
So Nate
I saw Jimmy
Thurman
Gooden
in his
when I
2
was a
years
little
with the
boy.
Cavs only averaged 5.6 rebounds and 1.5 blocks. But when Jim Chones got hurt, he kept them alive.
Which
Yes.
is funny because Nate Thurman's number is retired.
Right. For those, isn't that crazy?
I would say Kevin Love's not as good as Jim Jones.
If Jim Jones is
Sam,
another
you're lucky I love
Brad
you, man.
Doherty story, right? If it wasn't for multiple
It's an absurd
injuries.
take.
So if it wasn't for multiple injuries, Jim Jones, same thing.
So
And not Brad Doherty good.
Here's the
but.
interesting thing. So the Cavs' numbers that are retired are Price, Doherty, Nance, Ilgauskas, Thurman.
Verajao.
No. His number was not retired.
That was a Chase interjection. I'm rubbing off on you. That was a Chase interjection.
They just honored him. Bobby Bingo Smith, Austin Carr, and Nate Thurman, right?
Yeah.
The one number, if you retire Nate Thurman's number based off of those little statistics, the one guy you have to retire that they have not done it yet is World Be Free.
I knew that was going to know World Be Free.
World Be Free single-handedly saved this franchise from moving to Toronto.
I don't understand why they won't. I mean, I didn't
It
understand
is
it
weird.
before.
It's
Wade
been
Embry
weird.
kind of had an issue with him.
Right.
So
Which I heard.
Whatever that was, okay, it's been years. And
They need to retire his number.
they need to retire his number. I can tell you when I was a little kid, I remember, well, I was probably a little older than a little kid, but I remember, I mean, there was the Cavs weren't even on any sports fan in Cleveland's radar. They weren't even on my radar, and I love the NBA, but I didn't pay any attention to the Cavs. And then World Be Free came, and they all of a sudden you have this guy who's a character. He's scoring like 28, 30 a game. He's got this funky shot. He's
Fun name. What a great name.
Great
do you
name.
remember?
Great
do you know the
name.
story of when he arrived for the first
Yeah,
time?
he came in a helicopter.
And
They landed
rolled
on
out-
top of the arena.
And they rolled out a red
amazing.
carpet
Yeah.
out of the
That
helicopter
is
for him.
such a G
Yeah.
move.
And the funny thing was, at that time, the Cavs are going through some major financial troubles.
It was
Terry
awful.
Pluto has written a book about this. A
Yes.
great read, by the way.
Vintage Cavs.
Vintage
Good old
Cavs.
TP.
And he goes in there in a detail about how at that point in time, ownership was that Maletti at the
Friend
time?
of the
Nick
show,
Maletti?
Terry Pluto.
No, that would have been.
Step in?
I think that was when the Guns just took over.
Just got him.
Yeah.
But at that time, with World Be Free, a big name on the back end of his career, still putting up some crazy numbers.
Sure.
Single-handedly saved that franchise because there was rumors in those early '80s years that the Cavs were looking at moving to Toronto.
Toronto.
Do you remember what they were going to be
Stepien-
called?
Toronto Towers.
The Toronto Towers.
Stepien already had.
I love that.
He already had the
What a fun
logo
name.
and everything, and he held a press conference in Toronto.
And then he canceled it.
Well, the NBA said you're not
Yeah.
moving to Toronto.
Yes, they canceled at the last minute. Yeah.
All right,
Sable
so
and I should have a podcast
That's
about
straight.
80s
That's
Cavs.
straight out of Terry Pluto's book too, right?
And it is, yeah, exactly. Great read, Terry's his vintage books. He did one of the Browns too.
So I want to ask this question: yes or no? Start with Jeremy. Did the Cavs win the 2016 championship without Kevin Love? Yes or no?
I'm gonna
Do
say
they have
no.
Andrew
It's-
Wiggins?
You can't.
Do they
just
have
put
Andrew
it in.
Sam,
Wiggins?
do the Cavs win the 2016 NBA championship
if they just
without
don't
Kevin
have
Love?
him, so he's injured. They don't have. a
Yes or
replacement.
no? Do they win without Kevin Love?
There's some nuance to this.
Nope. There is no nuance. Yes or no?
Kevin
There's-
Love's not on the team, but the rest of the team's there.
There is no Kevin Love on the Cavs. I'm not explaining it anymore. Do they win the 16 championship without Kevin Love?
Probably not.
John.
No, not at all. Because
Unbelievable.
you don't have the shot, you don't have the block without the stop.
Unbelievable.
I would say probably
drop.
not.
And so all of a sudden, this last player of this 16 team, he's gone from the team. It is officially over. This era, this time, this special moment for the Cavs, it has come to an end here in 2023. It is finally over. I know we all have very strong feelings about the 2015 team, how Kelly Olynyk ripped Kevin Love's shoulder out of place and how that could have impacted that championship. I know John Sable and I have talked off record about how we think the Cavs should have won that year. And regardless of where you stand on Kevin Love, it probably was the best move to trade him for Andrew Wiggins.
Absolutely, it was.
And it is an incredible time and a moment that we should be thankful for, a moment that we have a lot of great memories for. He was an incredible Cavalier. He stuck through the rebuilding years. He wasn't really a huge cancer in the locker room. Maybe he had his own personal battles, but he was an advocate for mental health, and I think did the best he could to help some young players in the city that he maybe didn't want to be in, to be honest. I don't think he wanted to be here in Cleveland.
I agree with all that, Chase, but tell me another contract that was a bigger head scratcher than that one when it happened. You remember when that contract happened? Everybody was
I put that in the same. I put that same contract in that same conversation.
Timothy Mozgov
Who
from
else
the
are you going
Lakers.
to pay?
Yeah.
I know you needed. It was a PR. It was a PR move at the time to
PR move.
to appease the fan
That was
base.
not a basketball
Who else
move.
are you going to
It's not
pay?
a basketball
But it was
move.
not a basketball. It was not a basketball move. It was
Who
a PR
else
move.
are you going to pay?
You know, Jeremy. You know where I put this this contract in? That's a big head scratcher at the time with in Cleveland sports lure.
Travis Hafner.
No. Go a few years later. Good guess though. You're on the right sport when the Indians signed Nick Swisher and Michael Bourne.
Yo, lay off Nick Swisher. He's my boy. I will not stand for Nick Swisher slander.
You
right
guys
now.
are Parkersburg boys.
We are. I will not stand for Nick Swisher slander on this
We grew
podcast.
up in the same neighborhood,
Dude,
right?
we did. He dated my best friend's sister. I will not stand for Nick Swisher slander.
Absolutely, I'm
on this.
excited. Remember those commercials?
Dude, I will go to bat for Nick Swisher any day, anytime.
I believe it was Dennis Maniloff who said, "There's zero chance Indians are signing Michael Bourne. Quit talking about it. It's not going to happen." And like 3.5 hours later, the Indians signed Michael Bourne. It was, you have to ask Maniloff
I will
about
say
that.
this about Kevin Love. Throw this in there. Last season, when he was coming off the bench, and after Jerry Colangelo from Team USA, you remember Team USA cut him, and Jerry Colangelo just ripped him and said,
Lazy.
he was lazy? Why did he bring this guy?
he got crap for playing that after he didn't really give his all for the Cavs last year.
Well, I was saying last year for the Cavs, I was more impressed with him than at any other time.
Yeah.
When he was coming off
Pure
the
joy,
bench.
playing with pure joy,
And just
hitting shots.
Just the way he played and the enjoyment he played with and the style he played. And
on top of that, too,
fitting in.
and fitting in, you mentioned maybe when the Cavs first went through that rebuild after LeBron not maybe fitting in, being that leader. It seemed like he became that when that new class of young guys came in.
When JB Bickerstaff
When
became
JB
coach.
came in. And that was a big change because Kevin Love and JB were tight when their time in Minnesota. And so, if there was one coach, we've said this before in other previous podcasts, if there was one coach that could get Kevin to buy into his system, ideology, whatever, it was JB Bickerstaff. Yeah. And he had become kind of that like mentor to these young guys, Evan Mobley and Darius Garland and Isaac Okoro and Colin Sexton when he was here. Yeah. And so he was that leader a little bit at that time. Early on, though, when LeBron left, maybe, Sam, he wasn't that at that point. But I think he needed...
Last season, that was the most impressive season of Kevin Love's history. Kevin Love's history, to me, was last year.
Yeah. Well, we
need
talked,
to take a break.
We have talked 43 minutes about Kevin Love, which is, I think, the most anyone's ever talked about Kevin Love, unfortunately. Because I celebrated...
He's a reason for great debate.
He really is. Kevin Love, you might not remember me. I just want to say thank you for giving me the short end of the stick in the locker room 4 years ago.
That was awesome.
That
I
was great.
Watching.
Sam just shook his head. Kevin, thank you for your time on the Cavs. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Cavs after the All-Star break, what we need to do to keep home field advantage in the playoffs, and what a game tonight against the Nuggets means moving forward. We'll stick around. Cavs on the break live here at the Sabol household. Stick around. I'll be right back.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tyrus Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tyvus, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of The Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sabol.
And I'm Scott Sabol, and we're hosts of the Sabol Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sabol Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
The R&R podcast going to be rocking and rolling with you because football season is underway. College, Ohio State, the Power Fives, the MAC, the Browns. Michael Regai, are you ready to rock and roll with some football?
Kenny, I've been ready. This is our time of year. This is what R&R is all about. We're going to be with you every week. Kenny just said it. Browns, NFL, Ohio State centric. So you got to stay with us all fall and winter long here on R&R.
That's right. The Regai and Rhoda podcast coming to you here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Subscribe now and don't miss a show.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary.
And I'm Jason. Opening cards as a kid, no matter what was in the pack, you always had that stick of chewing gum. Well, it turns out Gary and I opened up a box of 86 Tops last year, and let me tell you, the chewing gum does not age well.
Join us on the Ball Card Show,
the sports podcast for the sports collector.
All right, we are back. Cavs on the Break, NBA podcast. Tim Amico, John Sabol, Jeremy Ackard, right here live in-house Sabol's basement talking. We just spent 40-plus minutes talking about Kevin Love, which is maybe 20 minutes longer than I thought we would, but that's okay. I think he deserves it. I think we kind of realized
Will there be a Kevin Love jersey in the basement here?
I don't think so.
All the other jerseys?
Nah, probably not.
No, I don't think so.
How about
that jersey will be in the rafters.
Smith,
Is there a Brad Doherty jersey out here anywhere?
There's no Brad Doherty jersey. Now, a Chase Smith Cavs on the Break jersey.
Oh,
Sam, we're still waiting on that guy.
I would wear that over my Deion Waiters jersey. You were a little surprised I wasn't wearing my Waiters jersey now. I'm not going to lie. You thought it's the only shirt I owned.
I remember like last year when we did our live pod at Whitey's in Richfield.
Yeah.
You had your Waiters jersey, and I was hoping you'd wear some type of Cavs flair. And you didn't bring your Waiters jersey.
I didn't bring it at all. Nope, not even packed in my bag. No. Well, we went golfing this morning.
We did, and it was good.
And
virtually.
I wore my
Is
my
it virtually or simulator? What do we call it these days?
I'm not sure.
Simulator.
I call it I kicked your butt. I don't.
You did. You did. You played well.
But hey, let's talk about the Cavs because that's what people really listen to us for, not our silly banter. The Cavs are fourth in the East, and I want to know, Sam, how are you feeling about the Cavs keeping home field advantage in the playoffs? We have about a month and a half left of regular season basketball. Are you feeling good the Cavs can keep the 4 seed and keep home field advantage in the playoffs? Do you feel like maybe the Nets kind of like quasi-folding on the season, trading Durant and Irving? Do you feel like that keeps us in that top 4 tier of the East? Where are you out in the Cavs?
Yeah, no, I think before Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant were traded away, I still thought the Cavs were probably going to hold on to that 4th seed, but that they would lose in the first round of the playoffs. Now, and then play the Nets, who would be the 5 seed. Now I think that the odds are really favorable that they'll get out of the first round even, which would be a huge step. Now, if they have to play Miami, that's a little bit different of a story.
Who said on the pod we would get out of the first round? Who was that? Remind me, Jeremy.
Okay, well,
who was
this was
that?
Before Durant and
Who
Kyrie.
was that?
Did you see that trade coming?
If only I could remember who on this pod said the Cavs.
I still wouldn't agree with you if Durant and Kyrie were. But remember, Chase, if you remember, one of the things I said was how, because the Nets had been playing great for like a month and a half. And I'm like, okay, but how long before it blows up? I didn't think it would blow up like it did.
Blew up just like that.
It was
in a week.
It was quick
it
too.
Took like 3 days.
In a week.
Yeah.
In a week.
That's Kyrie for you, man.
In a week.
Very unpredictable.
So, Sam, before I head to Sabol and JIA, the Cavs keep the 4 seed. If everything is chalk the rest of the season, who do you see us playing at the 5 seed? Project. This is maybe a how does this end? We've done that segment before, Sam. How does this end?
I think, well, who's in the 5 seed now? It's Brooklyn.
The Knicks, I think. Brooklyn now, but I think the Knicks are 6.
I think the Knicks will move up. I think that the Cavs will be able to avoid the Heat. in the first round.
I am terrified of the Heat.
Well, yeah, that would be. I mean, because Miami's a team with experience that's been to the finals.
Not because of Kevin Love, more for Jimmy Buckets and Bam. Those
Jimmy Buckets, hero. The coaching, Spoelstra is a fantastic coach.
Oh my gosh,
the way they play defense.
They're an intense
physical
defensive
gives
team,
us issues.
and they play playoff style basketball. So they're going to get their act together, you would assume. But for the Cavs' sake, you hope that's only gets them, the 6th seed.
John's texting Baker's agent. What are you doing, man? What are you doing, man?
I think they'll play. It could be the Nets or the Knicks. Either one, the Cavs will be.
Jeremy, it's the end of February. March is next week. Who do the Cavs play, 4 or 5? Look ahead. How does this end?
I think we end up with the Cavs Heat first round series.
Ugh, I do
and
too.
I
man.
hate
I
it.
do too.
I just don't think even though like Cam Thomas playing great they're gonna fade.
We
it's
have
not
the
going
4.
to.
Are we 4 or 5 in that?
I think we end up with the 4 seed. We play the Cavs. I heard Winhurst say they have the 4th easiest schedule.
Yeah,
in the league.
Tankathon has them as the 4th easiest remaining schedule in the league.
But now they have 9. I think they only have 9 home games left after tonight. Though I think 9. Is that correct? 9 and 12 or 9 and 11.
You have a back-to-back. And you have a back-to-back against the Heat in Miami in March.
Huge.
Both away games, by the way.
Isn't it a Saturday, Monday, though? I think it's I don't like that at all because that's South Beach.
Anyone who goes to Miami.
I don't think it's a back-to-back day. I think it's 2 games and 3 nights in Miami. I hope I'm wrong.
They're battling the away crowd and the Miami crowd.
It's like the
culture.
South Beach flu, right, as we call it.
Right.
Teams go down there and just do not fare well.
Because they go to the strip clubs and all the bars. That's
hang out on the beach.
Let's be honest.
So yeah,
it's actually a Wednesday to a Friday.
So it is a 3-day trip, right?
That is not good.
It's not a back-to-back day trip. So that's
not good.
Wednesday to what do you think Thursday night on South Beach is going to be like?
What's weird about that schedule is they have Miami on a Wednesday and a Friday away, and then they go to Charlotte for 2 games in Charlotte, a Sunday to a Tuesday. So the NBA changed the way they did their schedules this year, where they call it the baseball schedule.
Charlotte will be fine because Charlotte will be.
Dude,
gone
Charlotte
fishing.
will be in full tank mode.
Remember that?
Are they not in full tank mode now?
They are. Yeah. Remember TNT's old gone fishing thing?
Yeah.
Charlotte's already gone fishing. That will be a different thing. But playing in Miami that Wednesday and Friday, that right there that's gonna be your answer. Question right now. Whatever happens on that, if we at least split, I think we end up 4th seed. We lose both those games, we might end up the 5th seed.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be huge.
Yeah, I mean, if the Cavs can get 4 and Miami gets 5, I think that's the only way, as we sit here in February, they win that series.
I don't think they'd win the series regardless.
You don't think home court advantage will make a difference?
Because Miami's going to win a road game. Miami is experienced enough to know if you're going to advance in the playoffs, you have to win a road game.
Right, but percentages.
And the Cavs aren't going to win in Miami probably in the playoffs.
But you'd have to also agree, though. Percentages will give you the Cavs better chance with a home court versus not.
Right, sure.
That's my point.
Right, if they ended up the 5 seed, forget it. They're out.
So it comes down to this, Sam.
Yeah.
Who's the better player on the court, Jimmy Buckets or Donovan Mitchell?
Donovan Mitchell.
Wow.
Yeah,
You think he's
Donovan
better
Mitchell
than Jimmy Buckets?
This year. He's been better this year.
This year.
I think we're also underrating and
He's definitely a
understating
better
Donovan
offensive
Mitchell's
player.
playoff experience.
Right. Yeah, I think that's going to count for something. We always
I never want to be on the side of understating Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Regardless of if they get bounced or not, they need the experience. They need it.
They needed it last year.
You're right. They needed it last year, and they didn't get it. And you can credit the massive amount of injuries at the worst point in time for them last year. We talked about it last year. They need an experience this year. A first-round win in a series would be fantastic for their growth. A loss would be very disappointing, but it wouldn't be the end of the world either. They need some type of playoff experience with this really, really young roster.
I think they need to avoid Miami. If they avoid Miami, they'll get to the second round. I
really
believe that.
If they avoid Miami, then that means it's either the Knicks, the Wizards, the Bulls, the Hawks,
Sixers,
the Nets.
Well, the Sixers
are going to be 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really looking like.
So
are we assuming, Chase, you and I have talked about this in the pod last week.
We talked about it today.
And today, we're assuming Brooklyn's fallen into the play-in game.
I don't think Brooklyn's going to make the playoffs.
The Cam Thomas had his magical run, but it's kind of
So under this,
I'll tell you what, though, they've got
no
a great glut of wings in Bridges,
No.
Guys that
Cam
can shoot.
Johnson.
They never have the best player on the court.
Seth
The
Curry.
Wizards.
And by the way, I love Cam Johnson, by the way.
Yeah, I like Cam Johnson a lot too, but you're right, Chase. They don't ever have the best player on the court.
So let's just assume, if we're going to assume Brooklyn's going to fall into that spot, and we're going to assume
We
that
have some
They're
kind
good to
of-
play in game.
We should have some kind of alert or bell or something for when I agree with Chase.
I know we really should.
I love when Sam agrees with me.
4, 5, 6 is probably the Cavs, Heat, Knicks. In
Knicks.
some manner.
Yes.
The opponent they would face in the play-in if you do get past that round,
And then 7 will
or
be Toronto.
if they fall, I should say.
7 will be Toronto, and 8 is going to be the Bulls, and 9
I
is
think
going to be the
Toronto
Wizards.
will rise.
I'm not sure Chicago's even going to be in the
I
play-in
don't.
tournament.
I'm not.
I'll take
sold
them
on
over the
Chicago.
Nets.
Team's an absolute mess.
Yeah, the Lonzo Ball is done for the year. I'm not sure what Chicago's got left in the tank. They entered the All-Star break in a
No,
6-game
that's going to
losing
put
streak.
the ball in Levine's hands. Is where it should be anyway.
Yeah, it's still not enough, though. And that's even with an Atlanta team who just fired their coach and are looking at hiring Quinn
That team's
Snyder.
the most
Can Nick
chronically
McMillan
underachieving
can
team
come
in
on
the
the
league.
Cavs staff?
Hold
Sam,
on.
can you
He's
work
a-
that
you
out?
Look at that
great-
Bulls
yeah,
roster,
he's a
though.
great
On
guy.
paper, that Bulls team is a top 4 team in the East. You got
I take that over the
DeRozan,
Nets roster any
Levin,
day.
you got
Caruso.
the center. You got
Vucevic.
who kills us, who's a Cavs killer.
Yeah.
You got so much talent on that
Sam,
team.
can you
and they just,
text Nate to say just come to the Cavs just until the end of the season? Just
Hey, Jeremy, do you know Andre Drummond was on that Bulls team?
Yeah,
he is.
He plays minutes. He plays.
He's playing
in the
minutes.
rotation.
I know.
So
Crazy.
the only team we're all collectively kind of like red flag about is the Heat.
And that's not just because Kevin Love's on that team. It's just because it's Miami.
0% about Kevin Love on that team.
It's the style they play. It's the defense they play.
Spo
When
and
Chris
buckets.
breaks down,
Yeah, right. They have experience.
Well, they play playoff basketball in the regular season.
Yes.
Playoff basketball is different than regular season basketball. Playoff basketball is not for young bloods.
No, every
Playoff
possession-
basketball
That's why
is
every
for-
team that gets to the finals, these guys are always experienced teams. That's
I think
why.
that's why
They don't-
LeBron excels in the playoffs because he has figured out playoff basketball, and it's not up
Sure.
and down. It's not like how
If he
fast can
get
you
to
get
the
it up.
playoffs, I don't know that he
And
can anymore.
He'll get to the playoffs.
I don't know.
No, stop.
They didn't last year, and I thought their team last year was better than this one.
No, their roster currently as constructed.
Sam is
Hey,
not a
they're on
believer.
right now.
Sam is not a
Palinka
believer
might
in
get
D'Angelo
executive
Russell.
of the year for
I
what he
actually
just
like-
did.
I actually like D'Angelo Russell.
What he just pulled off.
Not a
Sam is
fan.
not a fan.
I'm not a fan either.
He's not going to
My-
win you games.
Jeremy, let's go. I love when me and Jeremy are on the same side.
all I got, D'Angelo Russell just puts up
No.
stats.
No.
They're not winning numbers.
Well,
What
he does-
That's why he
Palinka,
keeps getting traded.
what Palinka
Golden
did,
State couldn't
He's
wait
a
to get rid of him.
DraftKings special. I'll tell you what, he's a prop bet special.
My-
Bet your over on threes in
He's
the first
a great
half.
fantasy player.
might get him the executive of the year for what he just pulled off. Trading Russell, Patty Bev, and getting the team that he has.
What's the team that he has?
Russell,
We'll find out in 2
LeBron,
weeks.
Okay.
Davis,
That's it.
Hachimura
Bamba,
from the
Crowder
Wizards.
Jr.
Hachimura. You're going to get excited about Raul Hachimura, who's
I
averaging
am.
like 7 points a game since
I
he got
am.
there.
Are him and Mo Bamba on the all underachieving team?
I am. When
Who's
you
the
have
other guy? Malik
LeBron
Beasley.
and Davis, look, they're beating the Warriors.
Without Steph.
It doesn't
At
matter.
home.
Don't give me
Yeah,
that.
it does matter.
Can we just talk about for a second how the Golden State Warriors jerseys, they're wearing their
Those are great.
cities. They look like the Kent State Golden Flashes
Yeah,
jerseys.
they do.
Did you say those are great?
That's because
Those are
And the Los Angeles Lakers jerseys
That's
look
Sincere
like the
Carey?
UCLA
Is that-
jerseys.
Is that Sincere Carey at the line?
Yeah, right.
No.
Good Mac drop right there.
All right, so we just talked about
Solid
Kevin Love
guy.
for 40 minutes. We are talking about the Cavs playoff. Are we concerned that they lost a home game against the Nuggets, maybe the best team in the West?
No, I don't, because it's the first game after the All-Star break.
the Nuggets are good.
And the Nuggets are one of the best teams in the league. You've got a guy in Nikola Jokic who's probably going to win his 3rd MVP, which is insane to think about. You're after the break. The Cavs were a little flat tonight. Their shots were flat. They
did not
have,
shoot well.
They did not have their legs tonight.
You know who did?
By the way, this game is UCLA versus Kent State.
That's why I just said that. Yeah,
Evan Mobley, he was ready.
Mobley
to play.
had a great game.
31 points.
31 points.
0 in the fourth
So
quarter.
to answer your question, I mean, we all like to hype these
Jeremy, I
games
love
up.
you.
We all hype these games up like before the break against Philly, and the Cavs got embarrassed and almost came back and won. And so we kind of, as fans and media, really look at this as a measuring stick, but it really doesn't matter because it's February basketball. It's fun to watch. If you would have won, it's great. If you lost, okay, fine. It was a close game. They hung tough for a while, but they just couldn't pull it out. But it's first game back from the break. Sam, you're not worried. I know you're not.
About the Cavs? No. I think the the loss to Nuggets is not – the Cavs aren't at that level. They're not at the Denvers, the Philadelphias, the Bostons, the Bucks. They're just not at that level.
Tier.
They're in that tier, but they're not going to beat those teams on a consistent basis this season. They're just not. They're too young. They role players. You know, somebody asked me today, what would it take? Okay, let's say the Cavs get out of the first round.
Okay.
What would it take for them to get out of the second round to beat a Boston or a Milwaukee? I said, well, you know, Donovan and Darius and probably Evan and Jared Allen, they're all going to do their thing. So you need your quote-unquote role players to stand out. You're going to need more than one or two of them for a whole series to stand out to beat one of those teams. And the Cavs don't have that right now. Their role players are not standing out. They're playing like role players, which is why you call them that. So in order to get past the Denvers, those teams. So no, I'm not concerned. They're right on the path that they should be. I thought they looked good tonight for most of the night, but like you guys said, the shots just weren't dropping, and they just
they missed some good looks. Darius Garland, a couple good looks at the end of the game. That shot falls. Look,
Donovan Mitchell missed a couple of shots too. That's basketball for you too,
right?
Yep. Well, I love basketball. I love the Cavs.
Hey, did you? What level did you? Chase, what level did you play basketball at? How high did you get? Were you a college basketball player?
Chase wanted a ball today when he came up, and I'm like, listen, this couldn't happen. The gym was closed, and
here's what I want to see.
We have to invade Sam's men's league games over in Medina.
All four of you.
I want to see every single one of you shoot the basketball. I want to see John Sable's basketball form. I want to see Sam Amico's basketball shot. I want to see Jeremy and Akron's basketball shot. I want to see it so bad.
Videos of Chris Mullen, and you'll see my form.
In his prime. That was automatic as a game.
By the way, Chris Mullen is the forgotten player in that NBA Dream Team.
No, he is not.
Go back and watch some Chris Mullen highlights. No. Literally, he did not miss a shot. If he was
underrated player in that era.
So very underrated. Yeah.
Christian Laettner was on that team. He is the forgotten. Chris Mullen.
No, he's not forgotten, Chase, because of two reasons. One, he made that shot in Duke in
NBA.
I know, but people knew him from that. Plus, it was Christian Laettner who barely played in the Dream Team, so therefore he was obvious. Yeah, and he was a big name.
But Christian Laettner, through all the hate, ended up carving out a nice career.
Yes, he did.
Look through his stats.
Was that
he played
ESPN
with
30
Jordan?
for 30 that
played with Jordan on the Wizards.
Christian Laettner.
He did.
He was such a good sport about it. It was such a good.
It was so well done. He was fantastic in it.
Shirts that say "I hate Chase Smith." I bet you he'd wear it. We don't, but I bet
I would.
You'd wear it. Chase would be all excited to
I
wear
would.
it.
Anything with my name on it, I would
Or we
wear
should
it.
just get.
Hey, my high school coach always said, "Don't worry about what they're calling you, as long as they're calling you."
That's right. No press.
I could.
No press
I gotta
is bad
remember
press.
that on Twitter.
Sam, I've never seen anyone give you crap on Twitter.
Oh my gosh! Search my mentions.
Search your mentions.
Yeah.
Search your mentions. John, what do people say about you on Twitter?
You know, there's one super Cavs fan on Twitter, which will be nameless, that does not like what we as a collective have said. Before.
Really?
Yeah. It's not so much me, it's just what us as four. Not a big fan of some of our takes. But that's fine. Guess what? It's all good. Everyone has a take. As Jim Rome says, have a take, don't suck.
Yep. Well, Jim Rome, my boy Jim Rome. Well, hey, it is time to give away our Junkyard Dog Award tonight. We have you hear that? That is a Junkyard Dog Award. And I have to say, I'm not even going to consult anyone. It's Sam Amico's birthday.
Wow.
And so my dude gets the chain tonight. Sam Amico over the neck. There it is.
I'm actually wearing the Junkyard chain.
Here, I'll hold your mic. You show it. Because Jeremy's going to take a picture of you.
Wow.
Let's go.
Jeremy, earlier, you know what he said to me? Boy, that's the first time I've seen you look your age.
He did say that. I heard that.
Yeah.
That was mean to
I
me.
was like,
I heard it.
He was looking at his...
Tell me how I was sitting so I never do that again.
He sort of looked like Ben Franklin with his body. Looking down at a tablet of paper under the candlelight.
Jeremy, Sam didn't bring a bowl
He's doubling down. He's not backing up like, oh, I was just kidding.
Sam didn't bring a bowl of Werther's Original in here, did he?
No, they're all in his pocket. He asked me for some. He asked me for some when he walked in. I think Jeremy has the record for most Junkyard Dog Award for the pod. I think John, you're second. Sam, for someone who
Why is Jeremy? What did Jeremy?
I just feel like he's won the most. I feel like for
I
someone
only come on every third week.
I don't know if I've ever won it, actually.
You have. No, you've won it.
for someone who's complained about not winning and who's cried, you've won a lot in the last like 4 or 5 episodes.
Work. I've won
You really-
twice, so let's get carried away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's 2 more times than I had like the first 10 times.
Sam, that Junkyard Dog Award looks really good on you.
It does.
Thank you.
It does.
It sounds good too.
Listen to that.
I'm not going to say what I thought I would. Because
Say it.
I was just going to say I'll just sleep in the Junkyard Dog Award.
And just the Junkyard Dog
Just
Award.
the Junkyard Dog Award.
Yeah.
Because I'm a real junkyard dog. Chase is hitting buttons over here now.
No, my ears came undone. I got to make sure I hear stuff here.
That's the line of the year, baby.
Yeah.
If
Well,
anybody's
hey,
still listening after an hour and a half,
that
other than my mom, who's
There's going
probably
to be
like so
there's going to be
disappointed
Brad
Jeremy's in.
Doherty arguments all over the Northeast Ohio.
You know what?
tomorrow.
And there should be because
there shouldn't be.
I don't even think
There shouldn't be.
I will say this. As far as an individual basketball player, I'll leave you with this thought. Kevin Love was not as good as Roy Hinson, who was traded for Brad Doherty. Now, Roy Hinson only played a couple seasons in Cleveland, but
That's in the industry we call that a hot take.
Too, right?
that's my hot
Did
take.
injuries cut Roy's?
I better shut up, or Chase is getting ready to take the award away.
No, Sabol had the hottest takes of all hot takes about 4 hours ago. I'm never going to mention it on mic because it would just create another 20 minutes worth of conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But all I want to say...
It's related to the NFL, and he's wrong.
It is. All I want to say is, Sam, happy birthday.
Thank you.
We love you, man.
Thank you.
We love
I
you,
love you
and
guys.
we are grateful that you give us time here on this podcast. John, thank you for hosting.
Absolutely,
This has
guys.
been incredible.
We'll do it again. Sam, happy
I'm
birthday.
grateful that he gave us pizza.
Pizza was delicious.
and-
he has...
And he had a little birthday celebration,
I had
too.
a birthday donut and some chocolate. Yeah, it was
I'm not
great.
going to say what beer on tap because I want to give them free publicity, but shouts to the delicious beer that I actually enjoy. I'm going to get one after we close up here, which you guys might stop me, but I'm going to get one again. Shouts to JIA, who has to get up early in the morning. Jay, thank you for coming out here and hanging out with us, man. Dude, I just want to say I love you, man, and it's so good to see you, bro. And I know you're going through a loss right now, but it's always nice in times of hardships to be with people that you care about, and so we're here for you, man. All right,
Or us.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you in person, Chase.
Yeah,
it's
bro.
always fun. And thanks, John, for his hospitality. Sam for being, the star of the show, as always.
Sam is always a star.
I think
Ben
this is
Franklin's
Look at him!
pretty
Look at him! The light is shining on him.
This was
He-
as feisty.
Look at him,
Would you agree, though, that this was as feisty as we've seen Sam?
dude.
I
It
love it.
was.
Because he called Robert Horry a top forward of all time.
Fantastic show. Always fun. We talked about it earlier off the mic, just how much fun it is when all four of us are on the show and
the
what
best.
a good show it is.
It's the best.
It's rare that we all can get together with our schedules, but when we
Yeah.
can and do this, whether it's on Zoom or in person, it's a lot of fun. And thanks for guys for coming over.
Yep.
It's been a blast. Sam, again, happy birthday. Happy
Thank you.
23rd birthday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look,
you.
I
Thank you.
try to
Times
be
5.
humble throughout my entire life, but one thing I'm not humble in is how proud I am of the network and the show and what you guys put into it and what we have here. And so Sam, thank you, John. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. And thank you to you all who downloaded and listened to this podcast. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Thank you for downloading and listening. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network, who sponsored a lot of what we did today to celebrate Sam's birthday. Shouts to P3. And shouts to you all. If you like what you listen to, make sure to give us a rating. Maybe leave us a review on iTunes. Listen, that doesn't really help the podcast. What it does help is people who look for a Cavs podcast to see our high ratings and our reviews, and they're like, oh, I want to listen to that. And so I just want to say thank you so much. Sam, since it's your birthday and you're the Junkyard Dog Award, final thoughts goes to you, Sam, tonight. Whatever you want. It could be pro Bad Darty. It could be whatever you want.
I don't think I feel. I will say this: look up Mike Mitchell. He and YouTube him. He was a phenomenal forward, and I only watched him on YouTube. So
I will.
Is that a disappointing? The more I say,
Nope.
the more odds that this Junkyard Dog Award gets taken away.
No.
But no, everybody, thank you for listening. Thanks for John for hosting us tonight, and the free pizza and
Press Play treated the pizza, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been a great experience. So hopefully we'll record the pod at John's basement every week.
Let's do it.
I would love that.
I would love that
My
too.
wife?
I don't know about
Maybe
his
not so much.
wife. Yeah.
My dog loves it because the amount of pizza you guys gave her.
I'm not gonna lie. I gave her about 2 pizzas worth of crust. I'm just feeding her under the counter. All right. Well, Mike Breen, take us out.
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.